Never let anyone tell you that you can't make a change. Never let anyone tell you that your voice shouldn't be heard. Because Mozilla, they've released an update on their terms of use. And the only reason they've done so is because people talked about it. People read the post, people saw what was being said, and then they realized they had to do something. Monkey may be weak alone, but monkey strong together. Now, it's not entirely backpedaling. Some of it is gaslighting. If you've not seen my prior video on this, or Mental Outlaws, or Nico, who had a bit of a different take, who was a bit more favorable of what Mozilla wrote here, I recommend going and do so, because it's going to provide a lot of context that I'm going to be skipping over in this video. But for now, let's take a look at the update. On Wednesday, we shared that we're introducing new terms of use, TOU, and privacy notice for Firefox. Since then, we've been listening to some of our community's concerns with parts of the TOU, specifically about licensing. Our intent was just to be as clear as possible about how we make Firefox work, but in doing so, we also created some confusion and concern. Never, ever let a company convince you that the thing that they wrote is not the thing that they wrote. Now, the way they wrote it may not be their intent. That's entirely understandable. But if they wrote it, and that's what it says, you can very easily connect those dots. With that in mind, we're updating the language to more clearly reflect the limited scope of how Mozilla interacts with user data. Here's what the new language will say. You give Mozilla the rights necessary to operate Firefox. This includes processing your data as we described in the Firefox privacy notice. It also includes a non-exclusive, royalty-free, worldwide license for the purpose of doing as you request with the content you input in Firefox. This does not give Mozilla any ownership in that content. Let's compare it to the original terms. You give Mozilla all rights necessary to operate Firefox, including processing data as we describe in the Firefox privacy notice, as well as acting on your behalf to help you navigate the internet. When you upload or input information through Firefox, you hereby grant us a non-exclusive, royalty-free, worldwide license to use that information to help you navigate, experience, and interact with online content as you indicate with your use of Firefox. So basically what they've changed here is removing these parts about navigating the internet, navigate, experience, interact, and replaced it with doing as you request with the content you input, along with the addition of this does not give Mozilla any ownership in that content. However, there is still a bit of an issue here. The issue is from the start it did align with Chrome and Edge, but Safari, Brave, and Opera, well, Brave and Opera have no mention of it. Safari, they say they do retain personal data for so long as necessary to fulfill the purposes for which it was collected, but they don't have any reference to a non-exclusive, royalty-free worldwide license, and I don't believe for a second that Apple's legal team doesn't know what they're doing. Firefox has existed for its entire life without these specific terms. Why is it that now it needs them? Now, if there is a valid reason to do so, if you want to be transparent, you need to explain why these terms need to be in there. It's all well and good to say, oh, we're just going to use it as you request, and this does not give us ownership over the information, which it never did anyway. It gives you a license. Ownership and license are two different things. But why do you need these terms? If the goal is to be transparent, be transparent. In addition, we've removed the reference to the acceptable use policy because it seems to be causing more confusion than clarity. Let's just go back to what that said. Your use of Firefox must follow Mozilla's acceptable use policy, and you agree that you will not use Firefox to infringe anyone's rights or violate any applicable laws or regulations. Now, I've seen a bunch of people saying, oh, this doesn't apply to Firefox, it only applies to their services. See, it says you may not use any of Mozilla's services to do this. But this says it applies to Firefox, right? Like, they literally wrote, it applies to Firefox. And even if you want to disregard this part right here, okay? You agree that you will not use Firefox to infringe anyone's rights or violate any applicable laws or regulations. So disregard this entire part here. There's no way that you can interpret the second part as not applying to Firefox. Now let's go to the even more fun part. Mozilla on selling your information. Now I want to be very clear. There is no evidence that Mozilla is selling your data. I've seen people spreading this around. That is not what is happening. What they did is they stopped saying they won't sell your data. There is a big difference between selling your data and not saying they won't do it. Now, one can lead into the other, but we're not there yet. We also updated our privacy FAQ to better address legal minutiae around terms like sells. We're not reverting the FAQ, we want to provide more detail about why we made the change in the first place. So what they did in the privacy FAQ beforehand is they removed any reference to the word sell. Let's go back to the archive. What is Firefox? The Firefox browser is the only major browser backed by a not-for-profit that doesn't sell your personal data to advertisers while helping to protect your personal information. Let's go to the next one. Is Firefox free? Yep, the Firefox browser is free, super free actually, no hidden costs or anything. You don't pay anything to use it, and we don't sell your personal data. Does Firefox sell your data? Nope, never have, never will, and we protect you from many of the advertisers who do. Firefox products are designed to protect your privacy, that's a promise. TLDR, Mozilla doesn't sell data about you in the way that most people think about selling data. We'll get to that. And we don't buy data about you. We changed our language because some jurisdictions define sell more broadly than most people would understand that word. Firefox has built-in privacy and security features, plus options that let you fine-tune your data settings. That's all well and good. I have no doubt about this. I didn't expect Mozilla to just, force everyone into it. Usually, okay, maybe force them into it, but usually they provide some sort of opt-out mechanism to make sure it's not actually happening. The reason we've stepped away from making blanket claims that we never sell your data is because in some places, the legal definition of sale of data is broad and evolving. As an example, the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, defines sale as the selling, renting, releasing, disclosing, disseminating, making available, transferring, or otherwise communicating orally, in writing, or by electronic or other means a consumer's personal information by a business to another business or a third party in exchange for monetary or other valuable consideration. Now, Mozilla, you might get this past some people, but you are not going to get this past me. This is an awful attempt at gaslighting. This is a really, really good thing for the consumer because there are ways that companies can provide third parties access to information that don't involve direct monetary access. As an example, let's say we have a company, I don't know, a Meta-like company, some big company that has a lot of social user data. Well, what they could do is not sell your data to an advertising company, but instead give them database access. It's free. It's entirely free. No money is being exchanged. But at the same time, by doing so, they maybe give better ad rates or advertise more on the platform. So you're not actually selling the data, but there is something of valuable consideration. Now, I want to be very clear, there is no evidence of Mozilla doing this. However, if you need to get into the weeds of what the definition of selling is and is donating the data, selling the data, then you are most likely sharing it with a third party. Now, that is not necessarily malicious. There are reasons why a user may want you to do that. The issue is the blanket terms. Nobody has issues of you sharing the data with a third party in the very specific situations where that provides value. But if you want to be transparent, explain those situations. Similar privacy laws exist in other US states, including in Virginia and Colorado, as they should, and they should be in every single state. And that's a good thing. Mozilla has long been a supporter of data privacy laws that empower people, but the competing interpretations of do not sell requirements does leave many businesses uncertain about their exact obligations and whether or not they're considered to be selling data. That's why you speak to your legal team about exactly what you are doing, and you explain exactly where you're using data. If it's never leaving Mozilla, it's not going to a third party. But if it is going to a third party, it needs to be explained. In order to make Firefox commercially viable, there are a number of places where we collect and share some data with our partners, including our optional ads on new tab and providing sponsor suggestions in the search bar. Whenever we share data with our partners, we put a lot of work into making sure that the data that we share is stripped out of potentially identifying information or shared only in the aggregate or is put through our privacy-preserving technologies like OHTTP. As I said in the original video, it's all well and good to have the privacy notice explaining here's where we can use that information, here's where we can provide it. But you also had these terms providing blanket usage of the data. So you can have a situation very easily where you still have those terms there, the privacy notice is expanded to be a lot more liberal, and you still have those terms, right? Providing Mozilla with that level of access, that level of ability to use your data is not a good thing, and it needs to be as limited as possible. And if others can get away with doing less, I don't know why Mozilla can't. Now, how you take the direction Mozilla is going right now very much depends on how you feel about Mozilla over the past couple of years. Have you been annoyed by the direction they're going? Is this sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, or do you just not care? Do you like the direction they're going? And I'm not saying that you have to dislike things, you have to like things. You're an adult probably, and if you're not, you're probably old enough to like work out your own thoughts in your head. But I highly recommend going and reading through everything yourself, watching a bunch of videos, getting all of the information you can, not just what Mozilla is saying. But that's it for today. I'm recording this on a Saturday because they decided to release an update on a Saturday. Yeah. So I'm gonna go probably get some food and not do anything else for the rest of the day. Maybe I'm streaming Cosmic later on today. I don't know. If I have, you would have seen the stream already. So yeah, let me know in the comments if future Brodie for me, past Brodie for you actually did that. Anyway, if you like the video, go like the video. If you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, subscribe to Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and I wonder what they'll do next.